Okay, so my name is Jason Neill. The topic I chose was obesity in both, basically just everyone, including adults, children, and just the rising um, ways that it is impacting America and how it's really changing uh, both our adults' lives and affecting our children too, especially. Um, the biggest thing about obesity is just how much it has risen over the past few years. Um, it is started back in 2011, 2012 was the main times when it was becoming relevant in America and our society, and really that was the start of the childhood obesity problem as well. Um, Around 2011, 2012, the the childhood obesity rate was about 17%, and over the past 3 or 4 years, it has risen um, a lot. And mainly, this is because of adult obesity. In America today, it is so easy to just get fast food, and we are so busy as Americans now that it has just become the norm that we do these things. It's no big deal now to just run through Taco Bell or McDonald's on your way home from work instead of coming home and cooking a good dinner that is healthy. And these habits are what get passed on to our kids when we do things like this. And this is the reason why childhood obesity is on the rise. It is and it's not just the food, it's exercising as well. It's um, the the school exercise programs are starting to dwindle and not be as sufficient, and children are being affected by this greatly. They, along with eating bad and not exercising, it is affecting every child's life, and the adults that let this happen, it is their fault. The rise of this has just been exponential over the past couple of years, and really is becoming something that has affected our just our America. And school lunches are a big problem for this too, because for the most part they are not healthy. And um, I remember growing up what was given at school lunches, and if it hasn't changed, then it's not that healthy. Um, and a lot of times people will, uh, parents will just continue to give their kids the same the same food, let them get away with eating fast food and um, not doing anything about it to set habits for their kids that they will take with them the rest of their lives. This is something that really is the cause of everything that the adults are not taking responsibility for their children and their eating habits. Um, in America, the more the West Coast side of America is the healthier side when it comes to obesity. And as you come further into the middle of America, Texas up north, and then Louisiana and those type places, this is where the largest population of obese people live. And it's because we're big eaters around here. That's just the way it is. It happens like that. But it's one of those things where it's not only habits passed down from our parents and all that, but it's cultural too. Um, you know, Barbecue, stuff like that. That's just our culture here in Texas, and New Orleans is places like that are big eaters too, and that's what they're known for. In the West Coast, smaller portion size, similar to like other foreign countries where they don't eat as much. That's one of the biggest problems is our portion sizes. If you go to these foreign countries, they don't eat the same amount of food we eat per meal, and it definitely shows in their people. Fast food has become such a common thing in our world that it doesn't matter, uh, because time is just so limited now, and everyone's so busy that we just we can't find time to sit down and cook good food, and good, clean, healthy food for us anymore. We go to the quick and easy thing, and we're used to it, and it becomes easy, and we just want to. After a long day of work or school, you don't want to. The last thing you want to do is cook a meal, and so that's what happens, and um, that's one of the biggest things that needs to change. Uh, the past obesity has been on the rise, and currently, it's still rising. It leads to a ton of medical bills. It leads to so many things, and it is still on the rise today. The future predictions, if it keeps going like this, childhood obesity will continue to rise. It was about 17% back in 2011, and I could see it, in the next 10 years getting up to around, 30, 35%. I mean, and that's kind of ridiculous that that many children will be affected by that. And it's one of those things where it's it's not really their fault, because they are born into a family. They don't get to choose their parents, and for the most part, the habits they make are not their own. Um, they get passed down through the adults, through the parents, and what they pick at school is based on what they eat at home too. So these kids will come to school and pick pizza for lunch every day and that kind of stuff, and so it'll just continue, and no one will do anything. Um, Obesity leads to so many things like cardiovascular disease and all these things, and it's just like it will not change unless the adults do something about it. And unfortunately, um, in lesser and communities with less money in general, obesity is higher because unfortunately, healthier food is more expensive. Um, and when you're working two or three jobs to try and support your family, sometimes all you can do is, and you have no time, you're just exhausted. That's all you want to do is just go and grab something real quick and then come back. Um, Sometimes it's just the cheapest option. That's just what you got to do sometime. And our school lunches don't help much either because you know, they're um, they're giving the cheapest possible option as well. And um, if nothing changes, and I mean, I don't see fast food becoming less of a commodity. I don't see school lunches changing anytime soon. And you see all the time, you see these comparisons of American school food to other countries, and it's just like they're lesser portion size over at different places, and they're healthier. And uh, unless something happens and changes in school lunches where there's some kind of laws passed or whatever, um, this whole thing will not change because the kids that are obese usually are the ones that don't exercise as well. They don't do anything. They live a very sedimentary life, and these habits, get continued to pass down through generation to generation, and uh, it's this kind of thinking that leads to the situation we're in, and it will only get worse if we just continue to let it happen the way it is. Um, and unfortunately, a lot of obesity is linked to genetics as well. So, if your parents are obese, you have a higher chance of being obese too. Not saying you can't beat it, but it's unfortunate because usually you have similar habits and stuff like that, and so it just becomes normal for you, and um, no one is willing to take a stand for it. You have to do it for yourself. Um, in 10 years, honestly, I don't see anything changing. I see it getting worse. And this is due to America doesn't want to change. Kids will continue to eat the same thing at home and at school, and they will continue to not exercise if they don't want to. And so that I just don't see anything changing, for the good at least. I see things changing for the bad, and um, I don't really know how to fix it, honestly. It's one of those things where the school lunches have to change, but it's in the adults' hands. It's in the parents' hands for these changes to happen. And this is not going to happen unless people take control of their own lives. Um, Kids watch and observe what their parents do their whole life, and if what they see is, fast food and things like that their whole life, then that's what they're going to continue to eat. If their parents don't exercise, usually they won't either. Um, it's all about teaching our kids the best things and the best food options, and preparing them to be healthy adults and to put those habits in their head. If you're an obese parent, it's not like you can change when you have a kid, and he can have a great chance of being a healthy young adult. But if not, then you can set your child up for a life of struggle and obesity. So that's my presentation.